time for Nerdgasm.
Hey, what's up, Nerdgasm fans? Jerry here, aka Barnacules, and today marks the end of 2014. It's officially New Year's Eve, the last day of the year. So I thought it'd be cool to sit down in front of the camera and do a looking back at 2014 video and see all the cool stuff that happened and some of the not so cool stuff that happened. So guys, grab some popcorn.
Or a delicious bucket of fried chicken.
And let's reminisce about the last year. Alright guys, let's take a look at how much my channel has grown over the last year. Now just to give you guys an idea, on January 1st of this year, I had about 46,000 subscribers on YouTube. And that was a lot. That was mind-blowing to me. But here today, on the last day of the year, I am approaching 300,000 subscribers. I never in a million years would have even thought that was possible. The channel is now up to about 24 million video views, which is another mind-blowing and humbling metric. Every time I look at it, I actually kind of cringe up a little bit and go, so many people have seen me. Don't get me wrong, I couldn't be happier, but knowing that there's that many people out there that watch me and see everything I do and see every mistake I make, it's pretty weird. Another cool milestone that I hit this year is that I had my first video hit 1 million views, and that was the room tour. You remember my second room tour I did of the Nerd Cave? It's by far my most popular video I've ever published, and it finally hit 1 million views this year. And that alone is just crazy for a single video. So obviously I need to do an updated room tour. So keep an eye out for that in the next month or two. Also, my social networks have been going like crazy too. Like Twitter, I'm now at 30,000 followers as of today. That's pretty mind-blowing. On Facebook, I got 13,000. On Instagram, I hit 15,000. It's just crazy to think that there's that many people on the social networks that are watching everything I post. It's again, pretty humbling. The way it makes you feel when you know that there's that many people watching everything you do, it makes me wonder just how the really big guys feel. You know, like when you got people like Linus with like over 1 million subs, and even people like PewDiePie that are up there that have like, God, I don't even know how many subs he has, but it's like all of them. Every time you turn on that camera, you know you're in front of all those people. It gets your heart going. So the growth of the channel has been astronomical, and I really thank you guys for that and all the support. It tells me that I'm doing it right. And I really appreciate that because it gives me the confidence to keep turning this camera on and putting a shirt on every day.
Thank you.
Now, this year, I've attended more nerdy events than I ever have in my entire life. So let's go through the list, and we're going to start off with PAX Prime, right? The Penny Arcade Expo. I ended up going to my very first one ever this year, and I attended with Timmy Tech TV and Linus Media Group. And it was cool to go to that thing and hang out with those guys and do all that stuff, and it was an amazing experience. Unfortunately, I only made it the 3 of the 4 days because I kind of got sick. You know, the con crud. But luckily for me, before the con crud kicked in, I got to attend an after-hours event with Norm Chen and Will Smith from Tested, you know, the Mythbusters internet show, and I had an absolute blast. And the hangover might have been slightly responsible for that con crud. But it was totally worth it. I also met tons of other YouTubers while I was at that event, and one of them was Basher. If you guys know Basherverse, he's a huge Minecraft player. He's a 1 million+ sub channel, and now I'm happy to say is a personal friend of mine. I like to go over and hang out with him and Clara Babylegs, and we've all become really good friends. Now, one of the coolest events that I attended this year was in New York, and this was the farthest I've ever traveled in my life. I'm not a very well-traveled person. I've never even been to Canada, and I live like 2.5 hours from the border. I've never been to Mexico, which is our other bordering country, and so I don't travel a lot. So it was really humbling to get on an airplane and fly all the way over to New York City. But I went over there to attend World Maker Faire, and I got hooked. I went there with Ultimaker. They actually picked me up and took me with them, and because they really love the videos that I make with their 3D printer. And I went there and I manned the booth with them for the entire event, and it was a blast. I've met more of my subscribers in person at that event than I have at any other event previous. I also got to hang out with the Ultimaker team and made friends for life. Those guys are awesome. The guys that work at Ultimaker, they're the kind of guys you want to go out and drink with, if you know what I'm saying. But I'm not a big-time city boy. I live near Seattle, but I don't go into Seattle that often. I'm more of a country boy. So it was humbling to get on subways and drive around into Manhattan and stuff like that and walk around the streets at like 2 a.m. in the morning. It was a little weird, but it was awesome. And I got to go walk around Flushing Meadows Park, which is amazing. That park, it just blows my mind that in a place like New York, where it's such a dense city population, that they can have these beautiful, huge parks just sitting in the middle of the city. It's amazing. Now, unfortunately, because I talked to so many people during the event, I actually lost my voice. I strained my vocal cords, and it literally took about 3 months for my voice to come back to 100%. It was rough making videos there for a while. So I learned a valuable lesson about going to things like this, and that's do not scream at the top of your lungs for like 5 days straight. You will die. Also, while at the event, I got to meet Logan from Tech Syndicate and Deus Kane in person, and I got to go see the place where Deus Kane works way up in one of the Freedom Towers. It was freaking awesome. So all in all, I have to rate that event as a 10 out of 10, and I'm going to try to make it to World Maker Faire every single year because that is just an amazing event. If you ever have the opportunity to go, do it. Another really fun event that I got to attend that was a little more close to home was in Portland, Oregon, and that was the Retro Gaming Expo. And I actually got invited down there by Metal Jesus Rocks. If you guys haven't seen him, I've got a link to his channel down in the video description. He does all retro gaming and music. The guy is awesome. I've been a sub to his channel since I was just an itty bitty little guy, but he is a blast to hang out with, another total friend for life. I went with him down to this event with Drunken Master Paul and the voice of the Big JB and a bunch of other people, and it was a blast. Let's just say the whole experience got me hooked on retro gaming, and you can probably tell because I've done quite a few retro gaming videos since I got back from the event, and I'll continue to do more in the future. I've actually started building my collection. I've acquired several consoles, controllers, and games, and I'm looking to build a big retro gaming setup in my garage this summer. Keep an eye out for it. But I have to say the best part of that whole trip was when I went out drinking with them afterwards, and I got so drunk that they managed to steal a game from me, my shoe, and a sock. And I somehow got back to my hotel room missing those things. But that's a rowdy bunch, those guys. A lot of fun, but rowdy. Them rowdy guys. Another cool event that I got to attend was MLG, Major League Gaming, down in Southern California. I actually flew down there to hang out with Jay's 2 Cents. If you guys don't know Jay's 2 Cents, there's a link to his channel down in the video description, but he is a great friend of mine, and we've collaborated probably more than anybody else. We both get together every Thursday to do a show called Tech Talk that's a live stream, and a lot of you have tuned into it, and it's a lot of fun. It's actually one of the highlights of my week. But Jay is like a brother from another mother. I love the guy. I'd almost call him family at this point. And we're trying to get him to fly up here to Seattle here hopefully in 2015 so he can crash on my couch and return the favor. But MLG is a fun event. It's everything you'd imagine it'd be, basically a huge crowd of 12-year-old kids yelling expletives at each other. But it is quite entertaining. But it was cool to meet a couple fans there, but ultimately the highlight of that trip was getting to hang out with Jay and his family. They are awesome, awesome folks. One of the neat things about YouTube is you meet a lot of really cool people and you make a lot of friendships for life, and I think that's awesome. Don't do it for the money, do it for the friendships.
And the Lamborghinis and the Learjets.
Maybe. Now, while I was down there visiting Jay, we shot several vlogs and videos, and you guys can find links to those also down in the video description. But one of the coolest things we did when we were down there was we both got invited to be guests on the AltTab show. Now, that's a stream that Newegg does on their channel, and again, there's links down in the video description. I need to stop saying that. Oh my God, you guys get the picture, right? The links are down in the video description, okay? I'm not saying it again. But it was really cool to hang out with Kyle and Paul and Jennifer and all the Newegg crew and get on that show. It was a really, really fun episode to do. And I think I might have talked a little bit more than I should have during the show, but, you know, it was still good. I also got to meet Smiting Fatty in person. Now, Brigham's a guy that I really, really love. He's on Twitter. He's actually been following me since forever and a day ago, and it was really cool to finally get to meet him in person, and he was actually announcing at MLG, which is one of the big reasons why I wanted to go there. The guy is awesome. You should give him a follow. Now, another really cool thing that happened this year is I got to meet Chris Pirillo, and the weird thing about meeting Chris Pirillo is still to this day, we don't know how I was banned from his YouTube channel. Literally, I was banned for years from commenting on his YouTube channel. So I must have like trolled the guy or something when I was younger. But ultimately we ended up connecting through 3D printing. He was interested in 3D printing and saw my videos. So ultimately we went and had a coffee together. We met, we actually hit it off, and now we're great friends. And one of the cool things that came out of that is Chris invited me to Vlogger Faire, which is a huge vlogging convention that he creates every single year. And he wanted me to set up a 3D printing booth and show people how 3D printing worked. And that was awesome. I went to the event, we set up the booth. It was amazing. We gave out a ton of 3D printed Vlogger Faire coins. People had an absolute blast. I got to meet tons of people that really, really wanted to meet me and knew I was at the event, so they came to see me. And it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. So I hope to attend Vlogger Faire every year. And also, if you guys were wondering, the Barna vlog series, where I do a vlog about every week or two, That vlog series only exists because I met Chris, and that introduced me to the whole vlogging thing that I then got interested in. I acquired the same camera he has, and the rest is history. Also, I got to hang out behind the scenes with Black Nerd Comedy and Lamar Wilson. They are some funny guys. You could definitely go give them a follow on Twitter if you want to get your laughs. And it was cool because I got to be on a panel with them, a live panel in front of everybody at Vlogger Faire, which was weird because I'm not really good on stage. Like, it was a scary experience, but it was a lot of fun. All right, let's talk about some of the collaborations that I've done this year. I've actually done quite a few rounds on other people's channels and collaborating on videos and stuff like that, and it's been a hell of a lot of fun. One of the highlights, though, was I followed Woody's Gamertag for a very, very long time. If you guys haven't seen Woody Gamertag's videos, he does some pretty cool stuff that's like gameplay commentaries and stuff like that, life commentaries. But one of the reasons that I really got attached to the guy was he's in a similar life situation that I am. He does YouTube as a career, and has for a long time, and he has a son that has certain disabilities that he needs to get therapy and stuff for, much like Xander, because Xander has pdd-nos, my son, which is a form of autism. And so I could really relate to the guy's family situation, and I reached out to him a couple of times. He gave me awesome information back. He was actually a huge help to me in a lot of ways, but one of the cool things was we got to finally collaborate on something, and that's PKA episode 179. I finally got to be a guest on it. And Painkiller already, if you've never seen it before, is a pretty over-the-top kind of streaming series. And when I mean over-the-top, you'll just have to watch it and find out. But it was really cool to be a part of that stream. It's a 4-hour-long stream, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Another really cool collaboration that I got to do was with Linus. You know, from Linus Media Group, he does the Linus Tech Tips series with the WAN show. And I've been invited onto the WAN show a total of 4 times now. I don't know if anybody else has been on the WAN show 4 times. So I find that a huge compliment to me, and I really, really appreciate that they keep inviting me back to the show because I love every minute of it. And 3 of the times I was a guest host, but one of the times I got to actually co-host in Linus's place with Luke. And we had a lot of fun. I'm not going to say the show didn't go completely off topic a whole bunch of times, but I think the end result was hilarious. I really hope to get my endorsement on my driver's license so I can get through U.S. Customs up to Canada so I can drive up and visit those guys in person, because I think it would be great to just walk in on the WAN show unannounced in person. I'm going to make that happen in 2015. Now, one of the biggest collaborations that I do is Tech Talk, which is every Thursday with Jay's 2 cents. And it's pretty much an ad hoc show that's heavily unscripted and pretty much just sometimes even goes completely away from tech entirely. But it's a show that Jay started and he invited me onto as a co-host. And me and him just really, really clicked on it. And we're really, really comfortable talking together. So it just worked out great. And that show's been doing fantastic, and we're going to keep doing that until something bad happens. Oh, what am I talking about? We'll still do it even if something bad happens. Also, every 2 weeks, I get together with Chris Perillo and we do something called Geek Out. Geek Out is similar to Tech Talk, except for I do it with Chris Perillo and we pretty much just talk about anything and drink beer. I think we're always drinking beer or eating something. But it's a really, really fun series, and I really look forward to doing that every couple of weeks. It's awesome. And I even got to co-host an episode of The Tech on Tech Syndicate with Logan and Wendell, and it was a blast. I would love to be back on that show anytime. Those guys are a hoot. Go watch their stuff. I'll leave it at that. It's awesome. So a lot of really awesome stuff happened this year, but unfortunately there were some pretty bad things that happened too, and I want to talk about those and how that's affected me and how things have changed. The first really big thing that happened was being laid off from Microsoft. You have to realize I've worked there my entire adult life of 15 years. I was a senior software developer in the Windows division. I was a very, very high-performing employee. I was very, very decorated in my record, but ultimately the algorithm that did the massive layoff included me in it, and it completely caught me off guard. I went into a serious, deep depression. Now, you guys didn't see that in a lot of the videos that I produced because I would only shoot videos when I was happy. The rest of the time, I was miserable. Losing your job meant losing my insurance. And I have a little son named Xander who has autism and he needs a lot of therapy, and those therapies improve his life dramatically. And I felt like that was taken away. Like everything was just pulled away in a flash, and it was so unexpected I couldn't process it. And that really drove me into a deep depression that, I'll be completely honest with you, I'm still fighting today. Now, unfortunately, dealing with that depression over those several months, I gained quite a bit of weight. I went up by about 30 pounds. So I'm sitting at about 290, 292 today. And when I was at Microsoft, I was about 260, 265. So That was really unfortunate, and the reason being is when you don't wake up every morning and actually drive to an office and do your job and walk to meetings and do everything like that, you become very sedentary. And that's what happened to me is I would wake up, I would walk upstairs and sit on the computer for like 12 hours and I wouldn't move or do anything. But in 2015, that's going to change. I've actually already improved my diet a little bit, and I'm starting to go walking every single day. And I'm going to try to lose this weight because it's a bad thing. I have a bad back. I know I'm unhealthy. A lot of you guys comment on my videos and say you're really worried about my health. Trust me, I'm worried about my health too. But unfortunately, when you're dealing with depression and things like that, it's not as simple as just saying, eat right and exercise. I mean, eating right and exercise is like telling me to go climb a mountain. But that's why I got to deal with the depression first. And I have been, and it's been getting very much better. But trust me, I still have my bad days. Another big event that happened was Xander, my son, broke his arm. He actually fell down and busted his arm, and it was so bad they had to put 2 pins in it, so we had to go to Children's Hospital, and he had to be anesthetized. And one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life is I went into the emergency room because he does have this autism, he does get anxiety, so I had to be the one to put the mask on his face to put him under. And it was one of the most stressful things I've ever done in my life, and I still have nightmares about it. I haven't talked about this much before, but I figured, hey, we're reflecting back on the year, so let's look at it. But I had to put the mask over his face and watch him go to sleep, and he struggled a little bit, and that was the hardest thing I've probably ever had to do in my life. But the good news is the pins that they put into his arm, he healed faster than they thought he would heal. The pins came out no problem, and it's like the kid never broke his arm. So kudos to Children's Hospital for doing such an amazing job. They're also a place that I support through charitable donation, and honestly, they're like the best hospital in the world. I wish they had like an adult hospital that was just like Children's Hospital but with adults, because it's amazing what they do with those kids. Another big scare that I had in 2014 was I thought I had testicular cancer. So my family's at high risk for prostate cancer because I've had it on both sides of my family. And so the doctors recommend that, you inspect yourself when you get in the shower. So I make it a routine, and you guys should do the same thing. Get in there, feel yourself up, just look for lumps. Well, one day I was in there and I felt a lump that was about the size of a freaking grape, and I panicked. I freaked out. I didn't know. So I waited a day or 2, 3. It didn't get any better. The same thing happened. And so I had to go to the hospital. I was scared absolutely shitless out of my mind. And they had to inspect me. They had to send me to a specialist downstairs in the hospital. They had to ultrasound it for like an hour. Basically, the amount of time that they were taking, and they seemed really concerned, I was sure that I had cancer. But thank goodness at the very end they came in and they said after doing all their analysis and everything, it looked like it was a benign cyst. And they said that it probably will never go away, but it doesn't pose any permanent threat to me. So that was the scariest and the happiest day of my life all rolled up into one. So please, guys out there, inspect your junk. Just do it. Because even if you don't find anything, well, you still inspected your junk. Wink! I also had a pretty bad bout with pneumonia. I'd never had pneumonia in my life before. It's pretty miserable crap. I had to take a whole round of steroids, multiple rounds of antibiotics. It was an absolute freaking nightmare. But I feel like I fully recovered from it now. My lung capacity feels like it's back to where it used to be. So that's a really good thing. And of course, one of the hardest things was when I went to Maker Faire, I lost my voice. I strained my vocal cords to the point where I couldn't even talk. Like, words just didn't sound right. I had no volume. And it was to the point where, it was so bad it took nearly 3 months and a doctor's visit and a prescription to solve. But now my voice feels like it's back to its same old self. And I am so thankful for that, and I've learned how precious my voice is. You don't know how precious something is until you completely lose it for that period of time. But it scared me because I was like, how am I going to make videos? You guys probably even remember that period of videos where my voice was really raspy and crackly. Luckily, that's all behind me now, so from now on, I'm going to pace myself when I go to events and conventions and not just scream my head off for hours and hours and hours. And drink plenty of water. All right, let's talk about the great things that happened in 2014. There's a lot more great things that happened than bad things. The first thing is I talked about pneumonia and me getting sick very, very easy. Well, for the longest time, I thought I was getting sick because Xander was bringing home germs from all the kids he hangs out at all the different therapy sessions in schools. Well, it turns out since I've left Microsoft, I've never been sick for more than like half a day or a day the entire time that I left. And when I was working at Microsoft, I was literally sick where I needed antibiotics like every 2 or 3 months. So I'm starting to think the office that I was working in had black mold or something, but just not going to the office and working every day, my immune system's been fantastic. So there's a big perk for being your own boss and working at home, is you're probably not going to get sick as much. At least that's my observation. Another great thing is that Xander, my son, is doing amazing. All of the therapy that he's received up until this point over the years, he's now 4.5 years old. He's almost caught up to his peer group. He's almost to the point now where they can draw that pdd-nos label that they put on him for being autistic. He's very smart. You can have a conversation with him. He still has a lot of the autism, you know, kind of tics where he looks away and doesn't maintain eye contact. And he does have some conversational problems. And when he gets tired, he gets really confused and kind of babbles and stuff. But compared to where he was a year ago, it's an amazing difference. And he's already reached a place I never thought he would. So I am eternally grateful for that. Also, one of the hardest things about 2014 turned into being a gift and a great thing of 2014, and that is Microsoft laid me off, which devastated me. But at the same time, it had me reevaluate my YouTube hobby and look at it and ultimately convert it into a business. I now get to do what I love every single day. Shoot videos for you guys, play with 3D printers, play video games, do racing simulator. I mean, I get to do amazing things every single day and share those experiences with you, and at the same time be able to make a living and support my family and my child and provide the insurance that Xander needs. And I never would have had the confidence to just up and leave Microsoft on my own. I planned to be there my entire career. But now that I've been forced to stand on my own 2 feet and figure it out, I realize that it is tough to be your own boss. It is tough to make a living on the internet, but it is possible. And that was a real important lesson for me to learn. I'll tell you what, it wouldn't have been possible without having my wife by my side and my son by my side. Without them as the support network to be there through the hard times. And trust me, when you're online and everybody sees everything you do, there are some seriously hard times. But in the end, things are going really well. Because at the end of the day, I'm my own boss. I get to choose what I do. I get to choose how I do it. And that's just, it's an amazing, freeing experience. But I'll also tell you that I've never worked harder in my life, and I've never had as many sleepless nights doing this, because I do want to produce good videos that people want. So I do put a huge amount of time into editing and shooting. And so sometimes I just spend a little bit too much time and I don't keep up with what I'm trying to do. So in 2015, I'm going to try to do better with scheduling so that I can produce better videos more frequently for you guys. That's actually going to be one of my New Year's resolutions. But all in all, I couldn't be happier with how things are going. Some other great things that happened this year is Chris Pirillo became a daddy after all these years. The guy is finally a parent. And honestly, I've seen the guy in action. He's a stand-up parent. Him and Diana couldn't raise a kid better. I can't wait to see that kid grow up through the years. Jedi, if you're watching this in the future, I probably have a lot more gray hair, but you're an awesome kid and you have awesome parents, trust me. Also, Jay from Jay's 2 Cents had his second kid. That guy is just a baby-making machine. But he's got a full-time job, does a full-time YouTube channel, and his production value is amazing. If you haven't seen Jay's 2 Cents, check him out. And now he has 2 kids. And the guy somehow schedules it and pulls it all together. So I envy him for that. We share a lot of similarities. So he represents, like, what I can achieve. Now, you might look at subscribers and be like, oh, well, Jay's a smaller channel than you. But go look at his content. The way that he does his videos, I envy him for that hugely. His production value on lighting and the way that he does his B-roll and everything, those are things I just don't have the patience and skill for. And I absolutely admire him for it. So Jay, thanks for being my friend in 2014, and I hope we remain friends for the rest of our lives. And even if we don't for some reason, I'm blaming you for it, because it wasn't me, buddy. It wasn't me. But the absolute best thing that came out of 2014 was you guys, the viewers. The amount of support that came out when I released my video getting where I got laid off from Microsoft was overwhelming. It was 99.9% support and 0.1% of trolling. And I've never had that much of a positive response on something before. And everybody came out of the woodwork and said, it's all right, we believe in you, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And there were so many times that I wanted to stop doing the YouTube thing and just go back and take a programming job somewhere. And I didn't do it because I read your guys' comments and you kept saying, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And it forced me to keep pushing and it forced me to take a bet on myself. And so far it's paid off and I'm going to keep on going. And just to end on a funny, as far as the cool things that happened this year, I got my teeth whitened. Now they're not like super white, but I'm going to say it was a rather unpleasant experience and I don't think I'll probably ever do it again. But it was worth it to get you guys a funny picture. Oh, I still can't believe how ridiculous I look. Also this year I got to do a lot of great stuff with charities. I do Movember every year, and that's where you grow your mustache to raise awareness for prostate and testicular cancer. And our team raised thousands and thousands of dollars for the cause, and it's just amazing to be able to put a team together like that and do so much good. And I also do a lot of stuff. I donate to Children's Hospital, I donate to Easter Seals and raise awareness for them. I do a lot of charity work, and I also participate with Extra Life for Kids on numerous streams. And these are all great experiences, and I will continue to do them, and I'm even going to do them more frequently in 2015. But charity is a very, very important thing. And even though I don't make as much money as I did when I was working at Microsoft, I still try to donate as much as I can. And I'm going to give another shout out specifically to Children's Hospital, because not only would Xander not be alive without them today, he wouldn't be where he's at today. The amount of interaction that Children's has had with him since his birth, all the way through almost 5 years old now, is absolutely remarkable. If you guys have had similar experiences with Children's Hospital, I would love to see it down in the comments. Let me know about your awesome experiences. So guys, this video is already a lot longer than I intended it to be, but go figure, that's how Barnacules rolls, right? Every video I start that's going to be 10 minutes ends up being like a half an hour long. But I just want to say it has been a great 2014 overall, and even with the depression, losing my job, and all the bad things that happened, the amount of good things that happened far outweigh it, and things are going in the right direction. I couldn't be more happy. You guys, thank you for all the support, everything that you guys have done for me, giving me the confidence to step in front of this camera and do what I do. That means the world to me, and it always will. Thank you so much, guys, and here's the 2015. Let's get nerdy. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. It helps me a lot. Also, come over to Twitter. I'm at Barnacules. I'm a real social guy. Also, if you have a couple of minutes, check out some of these many other videos. I made them myself.